I'm gonna get people saying that I talk too much or that I'm overthinking this. Well, you guys can find a different video because this is a dangerous tree and I'm not gonna touch it without fully considering all of the potential hazards. Boy, I might have got dressed up and done this prep for nothing. Sometimes you got to be smart enough to know when to walk away from a tree. So this is in my line of sight when I come out to the Quonset hut when the sawmill is. Every time I'm walking out here, I see this tree top and there's no leaves on it. So I need to go out there and take that down. That at some point in the next few months, I'm going to take this tree down. I haven't really come down here and looked at it. And I haven't mowed around it. It's all grown up. Looking at it now, I don't know. And sometimes you got to know when to walk away. So first, risk reward. It's in a field. I could just leave it, let it fall. It might be 10 years before it falls, or one good storm. You never know. But I should have taken this tree down the day I moved onto the property 3 years ago, because at that point there might have been something worth saving in it and it might have been safe to cut down. So if you look up, there's nothing alive at all. Not only are there no leaves at all on the tree, but some of the branches are breaking and falling. But now this side looks fine. I mean, bark's peeling off. That tells me it's a dead tree, but I'm not worried about it just looking at this side. But let's look at the other side. All I can say here is, wow, I had no idea I can reach all the way through that tree. There's almost nothing left holding this up. It's just a shell. So there's a guarantee that there's no usable wood at least this high up, maybe in the whole tree. So I don't get anything out of it by cutting it. And this is a much more dangerous tree than a healthy tree, because even though this is rotted, there's a lot of weight up there. So it's not that far from falling already. So I'm thinking I'm going to make a plunge into this and see if it's solid up here or not. I recently cut down a tree for a neighbor, and it was a tree he didn't want to mess with because of the size and the condition of the tree. I called that one a widowmaker. But this is a serious widowmaker right here. All those dead branches above my head and a hollow tree. Let's just plunge it and see what we get. I started off being really surprised by how hollow it is at the bottom. And I was also surprised that it seems solid at the top, or 5 foot high. This tree has a good bit of lean to it. So what I want to do is make my face cut and the bore cut and come back. The problem with that is, you make your bore cut, you get back to a certain point, you stop and leave a hinge. But you can't tell, with the back side of this tree being rotten, you can't tell where the hinge is. I've seen a lot of examples, I've only done it a couple times, where when a tree has a lot of root flares and someone's cutting down low, they'll trim off those root flares and almost square up the tree so that they're not factoring in that oddity, the weird shape on the bottom. And I think I'm going to do that back here. I'm just going to make a slice off the back of this rotten area and cut it as if that part wasn't here. I think that's going to help me visualize where I want my cut to be. I'm going to get people saying that I talk too much or that I'm overthinking this. Well, you guys can find a different video because this is a dangerous tree and I'm not going to touch it without fully considering all of the potential hazards. And right now my concern is if I establish a hinge across here and one side of the hinge is solid and the other side's rotten, that's going to pull it where I don't want it to go. So I'm thinking through all of these types of things. At this point, I've had almost no effect on the strength of the tree by making this cut. This wood wasn't holding much anyway. I'm also going to get comments here saying I don't know what I'm doing. Well, you're right, I'm not a professional, but I take this seriously and I give each tree a lot of thought. And it usually turns out pretty good. Now this tree still makes me uncomfortable, partially because I'm not used to cutting trees up so high, so it feels awkward, and I'm on a slope, and I've done a kind of a funny cut on the back of it. But honestly, it feels like the center of this tree is reasonably solid, and I can just make a normal cut from the back. Okay, so I did a couple of unusual things in there, and nobody is probably going to agree with me. But what I did, I think had merit as a strategy, because the critical part in my mind of tree felling is knowing what your strength of your hinge is going to be, and where to place that hinge, and how wide to make it. And without knowing how deep that rot went on the back, I didn't know what I was cutting. And I described it earlier. I've seen it done, and I've done it once at the base of a tree where you square off all the flares and you know a regular shape now instead of like a star pattern at the base. So I just copied that basically. And I'm really pleasantly surprised that I think this is going to make a nice saw log. I was just hoping for a little bit of firewood out of the top. But I'm actually going to get a yield, which is what I came out here to do. So I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.